Hello everyone, my name is Abhishek and welcome back to my channel. Today is day 7 of Terraform Zero to Hero series, and in this video we will deep dive into the concept of secrets management in Terraform. Secrets management in general is a very important concept, whether it is Terraform, Ansible, CI/CD or Kubernetes. You need to learn how to implement secrets management. Why? Because using secrets management, you will handle the sensitive information. And as a DevOps engineer, in your day in, day out, you deal with a lot of sensitive information. It can be passwords, API tokens, it can be certificates, or anything that you have to handle. So for that particular reason, in today's video, we will do an end-to-end demonstration using HashiCorp Vault. So HashiCorp Vault is one of the most popular choice for secret management, and you can integrate HashiCorp Vault with Ansible, Terraform, CI/CD, or even with Kubernetes. So that's why the first half part of this video will be helpful with respect to any of these concepts, but not just installation and configuration. In today's video, we will also learn how to integrate Terraform with HashiCorp Vault and use the secrets from HashiCorp Vault. So please watch it till the end because this is going to be really useful. So I've already created the folder for day 7, and whatever we learned today with respect to commands, with respect to the concept and the Terraform project that we are going to create, everything, all the manifests are already available in the GitHub repository. And by the time I upload this video, you will see these things live. So you can watch the video and practice parallelly as well. And with respect to HashiCorp Vault, it is slightly complicated with respect to the number of integrations that it support. So don't get overwhelmed, and let's restrict our HashiCorp Vault demo to this particular video so that you don't get confused. Because in HashiCorp Vault, you can use information related to Kubernetes, you can use storing SSH related information. But what we will try to do is we will focus more on the I'll tell you which parts of HashiCorp Vault we will focus more in today's video. But for now, yeah, just understand that HashiCorp Vault at times can be overwhelming, but I will try to make it as simple as possible. Okay, so let's quickly get started, and we will start firstly with creating a Linux instance. And in that particular Linux instance, we will install the HashiCorp Vault. So let's go to our AWS console. So this is my AWS console, and I'll quickly install Ubuntu machine. So click on the launch instance, and let's give the name called Vault, and select the instance type as Ubuntu. So better select it as Ubuntu because in today's video, I'm going to show all the commands with respect to Ubuntu. So there might be some changes if you use CentOS or other distributions. That's the reason why. Just if you are not comfortable with any other operating systems or distributions, better restrict yourself to Ubuntu and EC2 instance as a platform. Perfect. So the instance is instantiated, and let's give it a minute for the instance to be available, up and running. And then meanwhile, I'll show you this particular folder. There is a file called Vault Integration, and here I've provided detailed steps even on how to create EC2 instance. And after that, whatever commands that I'm going to execute are from this particular page itself. I mean, I don't want to always go to Google and search for these things. So I've already pasted this, and this will also help you. Perfect. Instance is running. Let's copy the public IP address and let's get our terminal. So my terminal is here. And now what I will do is I'll just do SSH -i, my key, followed by Ubuntu at the instance IP address. I think most of you already know this. If not, please check the day 3 video on the AWS DevOps Zero to Hero playlist. If you're new to EC2 or if you want to understand how to create a virtual machine, all of the information is available on day 3 AWS DevOps Zero to Hero playlist. Perfect. Now let's utilize this to make it little easy. What I'll do is I'll take this in a different tab. Okay. And I'll just copy paste it from a different tab so that will be little quicker. Okay, so the first command, what I'll do is I'll just update the app package manager and install GPG. Okay, the reason why I'm doing this is Vault is not available by default as a package in your Ubuntu. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the HashiCorp package manager to my Ubuntu. So whenever there is no package available on your Linux machine or your OS distribution, what you need to do, either you will go to Google and download it using the curl command, or if the provider provides any package that is supported by the package manager, so you can add that repository, which will add all the packages of that particular provider. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to, so a couple of commands that I'm going to execute are with respect to the signature verification. So you don't have to get confused with respect to these things, and these are not mandatory as well. So both these commands are with respect to GPG. And now comes the actual thing where I'm adding the HashiCorp. See, what I'm trying to do is this is the HashiCorp repository, and this HashiCorp repository will be added to the Ubuntu, so that now the package manager, once this is done, you can run command sudo apt install vault, and that would install Vault. Before adding this before adding this repository, it will not be able to install the Vault instance. As you add a package manager, you need to run sudo apt update. It's a good practice because your repositories get updated. Now this is the main command, sudo apt install Vault. Now this will install your Vault, and we can verify by just executing the Vault command. It should give the usage, how to use Vault. It should just print on your terminal. Let's just give it a minute. Vault will not take much time. Perfect. It's done. Now we can just execute this command called Vault. Perfect. Now Vault is installed. The next thing that you need to do is to start the Vault server. Now Vault comes in two different variations. One is you can start the production server or you can start the development server. For proof of concepts and demonstrations, you can use the development server. It has the features that are required. There is no problem in using it. But when you're using in your organization, you need to use the production instance. You need to attach TLS, you need to attach certificates, and you need to create the production grade instance, right? You can consider it as, for learning Kubernetes, for your local purpose, you use Minikube, whereas in your organization, you use EKS or any production grade Kubernetes cluster. Similarly, here we are just starting the Vault development server. So now the Vault development server is started, and what you need to do is just take a new tab. Okay. And in the new tab, just create one more session for this particular EC2 instance. Why? I'll let you know in a second. So again, I'll copy this instance IP address, and I will do SSH -i Ubuntu @ IP address. Now, why I've taken a different instance, a different terminal, is because in this particular terminal, I just want to keep my development server running. I can run it as a background process, but I just want to show you if there is any error, or while the demonstration, during the demonstration, if there is some error message or some log message, if I want to show, I can just keep this as a reference. So that's why I'm not running it as a backend process, background process. Now you need to just copy this one and export this in your another terminal. So I missed the hyphen. Perfect. Now you can access your Vault instance. Of course, the caveat is you need to enable your security groups. I think by now all of you know what exactly security groups does. We learned in our AWS course. So by default, security group does not allow any external traffic on the ports. Only the SSH is enabled by default. 996. Okay. So now we are using a different port, different TCP port. This is 8200. So traffic is not allowed. So what you will do is you will go to the security tab, click on the security groups, edit the inbound configuration, and add this particular custom port, custom TCP port 8200. And you can allow any source to access the instance. And as soon as you add it, you can just refresh this page and you will see the Vault user interface. And there are multiple ways to authenticate with Vault, but we don't have all of these enabled right now, right? So if you want to enable LDAP or if you want to enable OIDC, then that's a different integration. If your organization is installing Vault, they can use the OIDC, or if they have any LDAP, they can integrate it with their existing user base. But right now, for the purpose of demonstration, you can go back to the other terminal and you will see a root token here. So just copy paste this root token and you will get the root access to your HashiCorp Vault user interface. So this is how HashiCorp Vault will look like. Let me increase the font size. So this is the user interface, and to your left side, you see a lot of options. What is important for us in today's video is to understand about secret engines, access, and policies. I'll make it very, very simple. Sometimes this concept is complicated. Even if you go to HashiCorp documentation, it's not that well explained, but I'll make it very, very simple for you. So secret engines are nothing but you can consider them as different types of secrets that you can create in HashiCorp Vault. For example, you want to store a Kubernetes secret, okay, a TLS based Kubernetes secret. Then you can use Kubernetes secret engine, and to configure it, you have to provide your Kubernetes cluster details so that you can integrate your Kubernetes cluster. Or let's say you want to store a regular key value pair. What is it? Like a username and password. So you can just use this particular thing called KV secret engine. KV stands for key value pair. And in today's video, let's use a very basic KV, a key value pair, and let's integrate. But the process will remain same for any of these secret engines. Let's say you want to store AWS related authentication information, secret access key ID, and secret access key. You can use the AWS provider, Azure provider, lot of options. But let's go with a very basic KV. And by default, nothing is enabled in HashiCorp Vault. It's a out of the box solution, and there is no secret engine, there is no users, there are no policies. You have to create all of these things. So you just provide a path. This path is basically to mount. So you have installed this HashiCorp Vault, right? This HashiCorp Vault is installed on your EC2 instance. Now you are creating a username and password here. Where will HashiCorp Vault store these things? So it needs a mount. So this is the path where you are telling HashiCorp Vault to mount it. So just tell it as secret itself. Okay. So it will use this particular path to mount or to store all the information related to the user and password that you are creating. And why HashiCorp Vault is very popular is because it does the encryption. As soon as you enter these details here, the key value pair, username and password, it does the encryption. And even at the mount or even on your instance, it will only store the encrypted information, and decrypted information is only available with HashiCorp Vault. You don't have to go to that details. It is very much about the secrets management solution and HashiCorp Vault. But because we are talking about it, I just thought I'll explain. Now click on the enable engine. Sorry, what did it say? Let's just go back. Am I using the right instance? Just give me 1 second. One instance is running 118, 188. 173.96. Perfect. Okay, there is no problem. There is already a folder called secret. That's what it is complaining. So what I'll do is click on the new engine, click on KV, and let's give a different path. Yeah, let's keep it KV only. There is no problem. And enable the engine. Perfect. Now engine is enabled. That's it. That means now you have just enabled this particular thing where you are telling HashiCorp Vault that I will use this to create key value pairs, but right now you haven't created anything. Now let's create a secret. Name of the secret, let's call it as test secret, and let's say username as username itself, and let's call the password as for example Abhishek. Okay, and let's save it. Now in the HashiCorp Vault, you have created a secret, but nobody has access to it, right? You are the root user, so you have access to it. But if you want to access it through Terraform, or if you want to access it through Ansible, they don't have access. And how can you grant access for Terraform or Ansible? Basically, you need to create a role inside your HashiCorp Vault. It is very similar to the concept of IAM role. In general, when an external entity or any other resource want to access resources or any particular things in your AWS account, what you will do, you will create an IAM role, and for the IAM role, you will grant the policies. Exactly same. Here, you can consider access as your IAM role, and you can consider policy as your IAM policy. In access, again, there are a lot of options. If you click on enable new method, you will see JWT based authentication, OIDC, TLS, username and password. But the most widely used is the app role. App role is very similar to IAM role. So what you can do here, click on app role and just enable this particular method. Now you are telling HashiCorp Vault that I want to use app role based authentication. So I will use Ansible, or I will use Terraform, or I want to use anything, and I will authenticate Terraform or Ansible using this app role mechanism. Got it? So for that purpose, what you need to do, you cannot create any roles through the user interface. It's one of the drawback, or for some reason they don't support through the user interface. So what you need to do is you need to take the CLI itself. It is very simple to support creation of users, creation of roles, but it is not supported through the user interface. So what you need to do is you need to create that using the command line itself. So the first thing that you will do, even before creation of IAM role in AWS, you will firstly create IAM policy, right? Similarly, here I want to create a policy, and I already have the policy here. Okay, so what I'm doing in the policy is I'm just granting access to different folders or different mounts. So KV is a mount, secrets is a mount, secret is a mount. So I've just done it because you can create any particular mount here. You can create the mount as name secrets. You can create mount as name KV, or you can create mount as name secret. So if you don't want, you can just remove these things and keep any one of these things. But I know many people are going to try different things, so that's why I just kept it as is. Enter. So the policy is created, and what this policy is doing, so the name of the policy is Terraform, and now I'm just granting this policy access to all of these particular mount points or the paths, right? So now Terraform has access to secret folder, Terraform has access to the KV folder or the KV path. But there is no role created. We have just created the policy. We have created, let's say, IAM policy. Now we need to create an IAM role, right? So what I'll do is, again, I'll just go to my notes and copy paste this command. So the command is that vault write what is the name of your role, what is the name of your policy, and all of these things are configurable parameters. It's okay even if you ignore them, but you know, these are something related to the session, these are something related to the token, and very basic things. So the TTLs, so if you want, you can keep it or you can ignore. Definitely for the purpose of demonstration, it will not fail. But in your organization, you have to read through the HashiCorp documentation and configure each of these parameters according to your requirement. So token policy is very, very important. Whatever the policy that you have created, you are granting to this particular role. If you are not understanding it, just try to compare with AWS concept. So understand that you have created an IAM policy and now we are creating IAM role. And using this particular line, you are attaching the IAM policy with the IAM role. Perfect. Now IAM policy and the IAM role are also attached. And finally, what you need in AWS, your access key ID and secret access key ID. Similarly, even here you have role ID and secret ID. So you can relate this concept with HashiCorp Vault, AWS, so that just change it to Terraform. I think it is wrong in the notes as well. We need to correct it in the GitHub as well. But people who are watching it, if you are practicing along with me, then you can change it. So this is the role ID. We can get this information from the AWS UI, but unfortunately in HashiCorp Vault, we use a lot of CLI. And then you have this final command. Okay, again, I need to change it here to Terraform. Perfect. So I got my secret ID and I got my role ID. You can compare this with your AWS access key and secret access key ID. And these are very, very sensitive. You cannot share it with anyone. Now we can just use both of these things in the Terraform and we can authenticate with HashiCorp Vault and we can retrieve the secrets. So we are almost done. We are only left with writing the Terraform project. So what I'll do is I'll go to my Visual Studio. Yeah, today I'm using my Visual Studio because the GitHub code spaces somehow is not working. I don't know what is the issue. Is it from my side or is it with respect to everyone? If it is not working for you as well, just let me know in the comment section. Not entirely sure and I did not have time to debug. So I thought I'll use my Visual Studio code. So this is an empty folder called Day-7 and inside this, let's create main.tf. So as usual, we'll start with provider AWS because we will use this secret and what shall we do is we will just use this password as a tag value on your AWS EC2 instance, or you can use it for the S3 bucket, name of the S3 bucket. You can use the password that is Abhishek. So in my case, I have just stored the password as Abhishek, but usually password can be any sensitive information. Let's say in your organization, there is a project team and they want to keep the name of their S3 bucket secret. Okay. So what you will do is you will go and create a value for them in the HashiCorp Vault so that nobody in your organization will understand except their project team. And you will take that particular key, you will take that particular secret value and you will create that as the name of the S3 bucket, right? So in this case, what I'll do is I will create an EC2 instance and I will use the password that I have stored, right? Abhishek is the value of the password. I'll use it as the tag for the EC2 instance. But you can do anything. You can create Lambda function and use it as the name of the Lambda function. You can use S3 bucket and use it as the name of the S3 bucket, whatever you would like to. Perfect. Provider AWS, let's use the region as US East 1. Now comes the important part. Here, what you need to do is you need to use the provider. The provider is HashiCorp Vault. So just call provider Vault, right? Similar to provider AWS, you have a provider called Vault as well. Now, what you can do with this provider Vault, basically you can create resources in Vault or you can read the resources in Vault using Terraform. So to create resources, you use resource tab, right? Sorry, you use the resource keyword. But what will you do if you want to read the resources? If you want to get some information from AWS or if you want to get some information from HashiCorp Vault, any other provider. So in such cases, you will use a keyword called data. Okay. So to retrieve the information, you will use the keyword called data. To create infrastructure, you will use the keyword called resource. That's it. That's the only difference in Terraform. So to authenticate with Vault, there is a defined syntax. You will get this syntax in the HashiCorp documentation as well, or you can use my GitHub repository and you can copy this information. So there is no rocket science in this, and anyone in the world, they have to use this particular syntax and they have to follow the documentation, because nobody will remember all of these things, right? Why would you remember this provider syntax and what you will get out of it? There is nothing. Even if someone is asking to write this in your interview, you just need to write the skeleton. Nobody would expect you to write this as is and exactly similar. Okay. Provider, Vault, just provide the EC2 instance IP address. Where is it? Perfect. So this is my EC2 instance IP address. So skip shell token is required. Basically, if you don't use this one, then your authentication would fail. It tries to create a lot of shell tokens. So because you are authenticating with token, what you can do is you can skip the shell tokens. And this is a suggested solution and recommended by the HashiCorp documentation itself. This is important, how you want to authenticate with HashiCorp Vault. So like I told you, there are different mechanisms, but what we are using is the AppRole mechanism. So that's why I said auth AppRole login as my path. And here I have to give my role ID and the secret ID. Just I'll copy paste it from the terminal. Finally, just copy the secret ID. Right now, till now, let us see. I'm not writing any data block as of now. Okay, I'll just keep the data block commented. I want to verify if my authentication is working fine or not, or the HashiCorp Vault part is correct or not. Okay, so for that, what I'll do is I'll switch to Day-7, and here I will run Terraform init. If I have done any mistake till this point, I just want to correct it. I hope I haven't missed anything, but let's see. So it is installing the Vault and it is installing the AWS related provider information. Perfect. The provider is initialized perfectly, but that does not mean your authentication is working fine. It's just the provider initialization is successful. Now you will understand about the authentication and authorization when you try to read the resource, right? Right now, what you have done, you have just initialized the provider, so there will not be any error even if there is authentication related issue. So now what you can do is either go to the Terraform documentation. I'll quickly show you. What I'm trying to do is, you might think that Abhishek, you have everything in the GitHub repository, so you're just copy pasting it, but I can also do it from official documentation. There is no difference. So I'll just go here, search for Terraform Vault. Okay, I know what I want to do. So I'll just go to the documentation. I want to read the KV secret, right? The secret type that we have used is the key value per secret. So I want to read the KV secret. So to read the resources, you have to go to data sources. To create the resources, you have to go to the resources, right? Example, let's say you want to create S3 bucket. You need to go and search for resources section for S3 bucket. If you want to read something from the S3 bucket, you have to go to the data sources. Just an example. So I'm reading the secret. So I'll go to data sources and here I'll just search for KV. So Vault KV secret 2. And here there is a clear syntax on how to read the data. Just copy it, go to your Visual Studio and paste it. So it's the game of copy paste. I'm not doing anything. You can keep the data name same, but you need to change the mount name and the name. So what is the mount? In my case, the mount is KV, right? And what is the value here? That is, in this case, what is the secret name? What is the secret that we have created? Test secret, right? Let's go and verify. So KV is the path and inside KV, test secret is the name. Perfect. So I have provided the mount and I have provided the name. Now again, I'll just try to verify if the authentication is working fine or not. Now till now, it will not give me, or it will not print the information on the terminal, or it will not even create the EC2 instance and create a tag because we haven't written that particular syntax. But if Terraform execute this block of code, and if Terraform can retrieve this information, my authentication is working fine. And it is very important for me to understand. So what I'll do, Terraform apply. Perfect. It said there is some issue here. Provider vault parse first segment in the URL cannot contain colon. What did I miss here? Should I just give HTTP? Probably. Let's try. Yeah, that is the mistake. You see here, it said apply complete, 0 resources created, changed or destroyed, because we are not using Terraform to create resources. We are using Terraform to read the resource in this particular demo. But my apply is created. That means the HashiCorp Vault and Terraform integration is done. Now let's write the EC2 instance logic. So I will use this particular value from HashiCorp Vault and I'll upload that to the EC2 instance. So I'll just say resource AWS underscore instance. Let's call it as this is not the name of the instance. I mean, this will not be saved as your tag or something. This is just for the reference. If you want to call this EC2 instance within this Terraform project, this is useful. Otherwise, if you're not calling this instance in any of the resource block, then this is of no use. But perfect. Resource AWS instance example. Now let's say AMI, as I'm hard coding these details. If you want, you can use variables.tf, tfvars, but I don't want to just extend the demo. So I'll just hard code these things. Okay. We have learned in previous classes how to use variables, variables.tf, modules, everything. Now I want to add it as a tag, right? So for that, what I'll do is tag is nothing but a list of key value pair, right? So here I will just say name. Sorry. Why is this not working? Perfect. Here I can provide the name. I can actually copy paste it from the HashiCorp documentation as well. And here, okay, I just want to give one tag, whatever we are using, right? I thought I'll give the name to the EC2 instance as well. But I'll just upload the secret so that I can clearly show you that is only one tag, and that tag is the secret and the value, right? So let's call it as secret, and here we will provide the value. What I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to take this particular value, right? I'll take this particular value as the value of the tag of EC2 instance. Like I told you, you can use it for the S3 bucket, you can use it for anything. Once this instance is created, you will understand what I'm doing. So here I'll say data dot, so data dot this particular key dot example, and then you need to take the, here what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get this particular data and it will give this entire information for me, right? But what I need is only this particular value of the key value pair. So if I just use this particular thing, what will happen is it will return a key value pair for me. Okay, if I just do here, if I just leave it like this, so I'll get this particular thing, and inside I can either use a key value pair or I can just retrieve the information and just get the value. So what I will do is I will copy the data, and inside the data I'll just use the name, that is foo. Why I've copied foo? Because I'm taking it from here. Oh, sorry, it has to be username. Okay, so data dot vault kv secret dot example, And why I'm getting this particular thing? Because if this is not mentioned, you will get this entire information. Okay, you will get this entire key value pair, username followed by the value. But I only need the value of the username, that is this particular thing. So I'm just doing data of username. Now let's try to print this and see. I mean, let's try to execute this and see. Terraform apply. I hope this works. And I hope it will create an EC2 instance with this particular tag. Okay, again, there is an error. It said error making API request with respect to HashiCorp Vault. Okay, let's see what has gone wrong. Invalid secret ID. Did I change anything here? No. Did I change anything here? Why is it trying to authenticate one more time and failing? HTTP AppRole login. Okay, let's debug. Provider. Invalid secret ID. Address makes sense. And I just added this particular block. And with this particular block, it started failing. So let us see if we messed up something here. Let's run Terraform apply one more time. No. I think with respect to my HashiCorp Vault, something went wrong. Let's refresh the page and see. Okay, let's authenticate one more time. Space. This is my root token. Okay. Let's try it and see. Terraform apply. Okay, something is going wrong. Okay, I just generated a new secret. That is, the step that we have done initially with respect to creation of the these two things, role ID and the secret ID. And let's see if it works. And to be very honest, it shouldn't happen. And I'm inconsistent dependency log file. Okay, maybe the previous action is still there. I'm not sure if there is any action that is going on this particular instance. Yeah, but that's fine. I've just recreated the role ID and the secret ID. And if it works fine, then in your case, you don't have to modify that. So I'm just rerunning the Terraform apply. Invalid syntax. Okay, that's not a problem. The given key does not identify an element in the collection value. Okay, let's see, what did I miss? We can get rid of this one. And here, I think this has to be username, right? So now if the instance is created, the instance should be populated with the tag that has key as username and the value as my particular password that I've stored in the HashiCorp vault. And in this case, the password is Abhishek. I think, yeah, it is working. And I just have recreated the role ID and the secret ID. And if at all you have to do, again, the steps are the same. You don't have to change anything. Or probably because this is a development server, you can also restart the server and re-execute all of the statements. But if you restart the server, you have to run all of the commands because your password and everything will be deleted. This is just a development server and it does not have any state, right? So if you restart, the existing information is lost. So you have to do right from the starting point. That is creating the secret, adding the mount, creating a authentication mechanism. Everything has to be done. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and see on the EC2 instance if this secret is added. Okay. So is this the instance? No. We have created in US East 1, right? So the instance is just created. If you see, the status check is still initializing. And if you go to this particular instance and if you go to the tag section, you will see secret Abhishek is added to the EC2 instance. Now you can try it with S3 bucket as well. It's not a big deal, right? If you want to try it with S3 bucket, all that you need to do is just add one more resource called S3. And here, of course, you have to keep it very, very unique. In this case, the username is a very simple thing, right? It's called Abhishek, and S3 bucket name has to be very unique. You know about that. So what you need to do is just search for resource in the AWS bucket. For S3 bucket, whatever is the resource name, you just have to copy that particular resource name. We can refer the documentation. So how will you do that? Just go for Terraform, and it's actually bucket name, I guess, but just go for AWS. And here you will have the entire documentation. Search for bucket. Where is this S3? So I'm just giving an example. So S3 simple storage, AWS underscore S3 underscore bucket. So you can use this particular syntax, and what you will do here, AWS underscore, sorry, S3 underscore bucket, and inside this, just provide the name of your bucket. I think it goes with, is it with, yeah. So this is your bucket name. So here you can provide this particular value and your bucket will be created. But in this case, this value is not very unique. So it will not be S3 bucket with SP bucket will not be created, and the creation will fail. Either you can go to your HashiCorp vault and update the secret, or you can variabilize this and add new variables to it. Okay, so it's up to you. You just can try this with multiple things. I have just given one example, but the major thing that you have learned today is the integration between Terraform and HashiCorp vault. Please try to do this demo. It is very, very important. And let me know in the comment section, how did you find it? Thank you so much for watching it. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.